Okay, here is page 4, and this is now where we're solving for theta. We're solving for theta. So here we get theta by itself. We just need to take the inverse cosine of both sides. And cosine is 1 at 0. So theta is equal to 0. Done. Here, we need to get theta by itself. So we start by you can divide by 9, but I like to multiply by the reciprocal. So I will multiply -9 times -1 over 9 to both sides. 0 times 1/9 or -1/9 is 0. Those 9's cancel out, leaving cosine of theta equals 0, which cosine is 0 at pi over 2. So when we take the inverse cosine of both sides, squeeze that thing in there. There we go. We get theta is equal to pi over 2. This next one has a coefficient for theta, but to even get to that, we need to take the inverse cosine of both sides. So that gives us 8 theta is equal to the inverse cosine of 2. 2 is too big. It is not in the range. Where'd that sheet back here go? There we go. It is not in the range or in the domain of cosine. It's not in between -1 and 1. So this one is no solution. Here, there seems to be some sort of blank box. I'm not sure why that happens, but we can give ourselves a little buddy right here. We'll just give him this little hat-looking thing, and it can come back. Oh, let's see. This is going to be a nice little buddy we got here. He's going to be so happy. Yeah, he is thrilled. This is the little buddy who just sort of kind of lives on my bookcase. We'll give him a little happy face. A little tongue sticking out. He's, pie. Okay. Fun little distraction. Here we go. 5 sine theta plus 5 equals 0. So we start by subtracting 5 from both sides. 5 sine theta is equal to -5. Divide both sides by 5. Sine theta is equal to -1. And then inverse cosine, or inverse sine. And so sine is -1 right down here at negative pi over 2. Negative pi over 2. Here we go. This one, we start off by dividing both sides by 10. And we end up with sine of 2 theta is equal to 1/2. Inverse sine of both sides. This is us just repeating all this stuff over and over again. And we get 2 theta is equal to inverse sine of 1/2 is going to be pi over 6. Pi over 6. Finally, we can divide by 2, but again, I prefer to multiply by the reciprocal so I don't make any careless mistakes when I'm multiplying my fractions, which should give us theta is equal to pi times 1 is pi, and 2 times 6 is 12, pi over 12. This one got 40 sine, so we can divide by 40 or multiply by the reciprocal, whichever you prefer, which should give us theta minus pi over 2 is equal to 1/2. Add pi over 2 to both sides. No, I missed the sign. I missed the sign. It was not Ace of Base. I saw the sign. If you don't know that song, you're too young. Look it up. Inverse sine of both sides. And inverse sine of 1/2 is still pi over 6. So we get theta minus pi over 2 equals pi over 6. So we need to add pi over 2 to both sides. Gotta have a common denominator, so we're going to add 3 pi over 6. That's still pi over 2. So those cancel out, and theta is equal to 4 pi over 6, which is just 2 pi over 3. Okay, this next one, now we have all the steps. All the steps are mixed in here. Start off by subtracting 27 from both sides. And we get, hopefully I gave myself enough room, negative 16 tangent, 5 theta plus 3 pi over 4 is equal to 43 minus 27, which should be 16. We'll start mixing up the colors here. Divide both sides by negative 16 or multiply by negative 1/16 to both sides, whichever you prefer. Those go away. This becomes negative 1. So tangent of 5 theta plus 3 pi over 4 is equal to negative 1. Inverse tangent of both sides. We get 5 theta plus 3 pi over 4 is equal to, the inverse tangent of negative 1 should be negative pi over 4. Subtract 3 pi over 4 from both sides. They're already common denominators, which is nice. And we get 5 theta is equal to negative 4 pi over 4, which is just pi, or negative pi. And then divide both sides by 5. And you get theta is equal to negative pi over 5. this next one. On your study guide, these boxes will be larger, so you'll have more room to write than I will. So here we're going to start with, we need to get theta by itself, so we're going to start by subtracting 4 from both sides. Minus 8 over 2. I've seen other people, some students like to split this fraction to make this 8 over 2 plus root 2 over 2. That's fine too. It's all mathematically correct. So those will cancel out, leaving cosine of 3 pi, or sorry, not 3 pi, 3 theta plus pi over 6 is equal to, so when you do that, those 8's cancel out, square root of 2 over 2. You would know that you've done this step properly is that when it's time to take the inverse trig, this number right here is a special angle. If it's not a special angle, go back and check to make sure you did all the math correctly. Now we take the inverse cosine of both sides. Inverse cosine of root 2 over 2 should be pi over 4, according to my unit circle. So we have 3 theta plus pi over 6 equals pi over 4. We're going to subtract pi over 6 from both sides. Get them to common denominators. So this is going to be, so we multiply this one by what? 2 to get 12. So this should be 2 pi over 12, multiply this by 3 to get 12, so we get 3 pi over 12. Should be minus, which equals pi over 12. So that leaves us at 3 theta is equal to pi over 12. Multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 3, which is 1/3. Theta is equal to pi over 36. One more. So we're going to start this one off by adding 2 to both sides, adding 4 over 2. Because nice, making common denominators, that 4 cancels out that negative 4, leaving just the square root of 3 over 2. And on the other side of the equation, we have negative 3/4 sine. I didn't give myself enough room, so I'm going to yada yada yada. All this stuff in here. All that yellow stuff right in there. Multiply both sides by negative 4/3, the reciprocal of our coefficient over here. So that gives us sine of the yada yada yada, which was 3 theta plus 4 pi over 3. And multiplying this out, we get square root of 3 times negative 4 is negative 4 root 3 over 6. Which then that reduces to negative root 3 over, negative 2 root 3 over 3. So now it's time to take the sine. It's time to take the inverse sine. And if you look at this right here, that is not a special angle. That is not a special angle. Negative 2 root 3 over 3 is not a special angle at all. So we have to first make sure we did everything right. We added 2 to both sides, correct, leaving us with a special angle. We had this coefficient that we multiplied it all out and simplified it correctly. Okay, so that is too big. It's bigger than 1. So this must be no solution. So if you don't get a special angle, check it again. Make sure you did the math right. If you're confident in the math, it's no solution. Okay? Great. I know this looks like it's on this page, but when we get to yours, it will not be. I'm going to make these boxes bigger, and this will get bumped to the next page. So I'm going to end this video there, and I will see you on the final video.